Today, we're going to take a journey back in time, all the way to nearly 10,000 years ago. Join us on a fascinating journey through the evolutionary history of chickens, tracing their remarkable transformation from ancient ancestors to the beloved domesticated birds we know today. From their origins in the wild to their pivotal role in human civilization, discover the untold story of how chickens have shaped our world. Back then, chickens were not the same species as the ones we're familiar with today. In fact, they were domesticated from wild jungle fowls in Southeast Asia, China, and India. It's hard to imagine, isn't it? Those wild birds slowly transforming into the domesticated chickens we know today. Back in those early days, chickens were seen as a luxury. They weren't an everyday meal but were reserved for special occasions. They were fed a diet of foraged scraps, grain, and waste. If buttermilk was available, it was given to the chickens destined for the dinner table. It's a far cry from the scientifically formulated feeds chickens eat today, isn't it? And unlike today's poultry farms with their built coops, chickens back then roamed free. But this freedom came with a price. Without the protection of coops, chickens were vulnerable to predators and diseases. As a result, the mortality rate was high, with 40% of chickens not reaching maturity. The absence of necessities we take for granted today, like constant access to water and feed, also limited their growth and egg-laying capabilities. And so, chickens remained a luxury item for most families, their meat and eggs enjoyed only on special occasions. But as we'll see, this was all about to change. Over the centuries, and particularly in the last 100 years, chickens have undergone a tremendous transformation. From their feed and living conditions to their very biology, chickens have been shaped and reshaped to meet our changing needs and preferences. As we move forward, we'll explore how wars, economic shifts, scientific advances, and changing societal attitudes have all played a part in the evolution of the humble chicken. From luxury to staple, from farmyard to factory, it's a story as complex and intriguing as history itself. Did you know that war has proven to be a factor to change the fate of chickens too? The 1940s, a time of global conflict, saw the humble chicken rise in prominence. As World War II raged on, the attack on Pearl Harbor by Germany and Japan spurred a revolution in the United States agricultural scene. The need to feed the troops led to an increase in chicken farming. But it wasn't just the military that saw the value in these feathered creatures. The government encouraged every family with a land plot to grow what became known as victory gardens and raise chickens. These small, manageable livestock not only provided eggs but also a reliable source of meat. The surge in chicken farming during this period wasn't just an act of survival, it set the stage for the chicken's future dominance in our diet. Thus, war played a decisive role in making chickens a staple diet. So when did chickens stop being a luxury? Let's take a walk through the 1950s and 1960s. During this time, technological advancements led to a decrease in labor requirements for raising chickens. This meant that chickens could be bred, fed, and looked after with less human intervention than before. As a result, the cost of producing chicken meat and eggs went down significantly. For consumers, this was a win. Chicken was no longer just for special occasions, but a regular part of their meals. But for family-owned chicken farms, this was a blow. The lower prices meant lower profits, and many struggled to stay afloat. Some were forced to close their doors, unable to compete with the larger, more industrialized chicken farms. It was a time of change, a time when chicken transformed from a luxury to an everyday food. And with that, chicken was no longer a luxury. The 1970s were a time of great advancements in chicken nutrition and disease eradication. Scientists started to understand the nutritional needs of chickens better, and this knowledge led to the development of specialized feeds tailored to optimize growth and health. These feeds were not only more nutritious but also more efficient, enabling chickens to grow faster and healthier. At the same time, the battle against poultry diseases took a significant leap forward. Vaccines were developed for many of the common diseases that had plagued chickens for centuries, like Marek's disease and Newcastle disease. These vaccines were a game changer, dramatically reducing mortality rates and improving the overall health of the flocks. But while these advancements were taking place, a countercurrent was also emerging. The 1980s saw the beginnings of the animal rights movements, sparked in part by concerns about the conditions in which chickens were being raised. As chickens were being bred to grow faster and bigger, questions started to arise about the welfare of these animals. Many people were uncomfortable with the idea of chickens living their entire lives in cramped, unnatural conditions, with little opportunity for natural behaviors like pecking, scratching, or roosting. They began to question whether the benefits of faster growth and cheaper meat were worth the cost and animal suffering. These concerns gave rise to movements advocating for free-range and humane farming practices. Advocates argued that chickens should be allowed to live in conditions that allow them to express their natural behaviors, even if this means slower growth and higher prices for chicken meat and eggs. These decades marked significant changes in the way we view and treat chickens. From the advancements in nutrition and disease control that made chickens healthier and more efficient, to the growing awareness of animal welfare issues that led to calls for more humane farming practices, the 70s and 80s were a time of upheaval and change in the world of chickens. These changes continue to shape the way we raise and relate to chickens today. Who would have thought chickens could become pets? As we entered the 1990s, the organic movement began to take shape. It was a time when people started to question the quality of the food they were consuming. They wanted to know where their food was coming from and how it was being produced. The demand for organic, naturally grown food began to rise. And chickens were right at the heart of this movement. People started to value the idea of free-range chickens, living a natural life and producing eggs the old-fashioned way. This shift in the way we viewed our feathered friends wasn't just about the food they provided, but it was about their welfare too. The 1990s were a time of change, not just for chickens, but for the farming industry as a whole. The organic movement promoted a return to natural farming methods, reducing the use of growth hormones and antibiotics in chickens. This led to a healthier, more natural growth and development for the chickens, improving the quality of both their meat and eggs. Then came the 2000s, and another surprise turn in the tale of chickens. They started to become pets. Chickens, known for their friendly, docile nature, began to be viewed not just as a source of food, but as companions. People began to appreciate their unique personalities, their social behavior, and their ability to form bonds with their human caretakers. Backyard chicken coops started popping up in suburban neighborhoods, and chickens started to rule the roost, quite literally, in many homes. This marked a significant shift in the way we perceived chickens. They were no longer just a food source or a commodity, they were now part of the family. People started to take interest in different breeds, their behaviors, and their care. Chickens became a hobby, a passion, and for some, a way of life. From being a food source to becoming pets, chickens have indeed come a long way. The 1990s and 2000s were pivotal decades in the history of chickens, changing not just the way we farm them, but the way we view and interact with them. The year 2020 brought about yet another shift in our relationship with chickens. As the world grappled with a global pandemic, the notion of self-sufficiency emerged stronger than ever before. Many people, confined to their homes and seeking ways to ensure their own food security, turned to a familiar source: chickens. Raising chickens became a practical solution for many. These feathered friends not only provide a steady supply of eggs, but also serve as a sustainable source of meat. And let's not forget the joy and companionship they bring, making them perfect pets for families, especially during these trying times. Now you might wonder, how did these chickens fare in their new roles? Well, the news is positive. With advancements in breeding, nutrition, and disease control, the mortality rate of chickens has plummeted to less than 5%. That's a stark contrast to the 40% mortality rate we saw in the early 1900s, a testament to how far we've come in our understanding and care of these remarkable creatures. But it's not just about survival rates. The increase in backyard poultry has also led to a renewed appreciation for the natural, organic growth of chickens. Many of these new chicken keepers are rejecting growth hormones and opting for a more traditional approach, reminiscent of the organic movement of the 90s. This shift is not just good for the chickens, it's also beneficial for us, as it results in healthier, more nutritious eggs and meat. It's clear that chickens have come a long way from being the luxury dinner item of the early 1900s to becoming a household staple, and now a symbol of self-sufficiency. They've adapted, evolved, and thrived alongside us, matching our own resilience in the face of challenges. Today, chickens are the first artillery for many in their pursuit of self-sufficiency and sustainable living. As we navigate through this new decade, it's safe to say that chickens will continue to play a crucial role in our lives, feeding us, delighting us, and teaching us valuable lessons about nature, survival, and the importance of living sustainably. We have come to find out that over the years, our feathered barnyard buddies play a crucial role in ecosystem management. Their scratching behavior helps to aerate the soil, promoting nutrient cycling and plant growth. Through their foraging habits, chickens also help to disperse seeds, contributing to the regeneration of vegetation in various habitats. Furthermore, chickens aid in controlling insect populations, reducing the spread of diseases carried by pests, and maintaining ecological balance. As we've seen, the journey of chickens from wild jungle fowls to pets is a testament to human ingenuity and adaptability. As we've journeyed through the history of chickens from the 1900s to the present day, their resilience, adaptability, and significance to humanity's story become evident. From backyard companions to vital contributors to global agriculture, chickens have earned our respect through their unwavering service and companionship. Let us appreciate these remarkable creatures not just for their eggs and meat, but for their intelligence, social dynamics, and the intricate role they play in our lives and ecosystems. As we look ahead, it's clear that chickens will continue to play a vital role in our lives, be it for sustenance, companionship, or livelihood. As we continue on in our ever-changing world, one can only wonder where the road will lead for our clucking companions.